Hello, and a very warm welcome to Cultural Communication Confidence with me, Victoria Reynoldsson. And today we're talking about your career visibility opportunity. And this is a question that I get asked. How do I get noticed by my senior leaders? How can I get noticed for my career opportunity? And in fact, it was a question very specifically somebody was asking me. This was somebody who very smartly was saying, look, I know what my career goal is. I know what the next promotional level probably looks like, but I'm not ready for it yet. But I do want to be working on it right now to enable that next year. I thought that was a really smart strategy and something that if you are serious about becoming a global leader, then you should also be thinking about as well. Sometimes there isn't a short term win in this. Sometimes it's more about investing your time, your energy, your focus around the right kinds of activities that are going to unlock the opportunity for you later to help you become the global leader, to help you reach that next level if you're there already. So that's why I wanted to talk about today's topic. But of course, getting noticed, getting visible are key topics and themes when you think about becoming a global leader. There are many other topics that go with this, and I have created a free resource that focuses in on the top 5 that I think are critical to you. This resource I've designed to go alongside this podcast episode so that you can go deeper into those topics and understand what you also need to do with your communication and ways of working and actions right now to unlock your next level. If you would like to access that totally free resource to you, then please, I invite you to head over to download that. You just need to go to www.culturecuppa.com/leader. And I'll put that link in the show notes as well. So, coming back to the topic of getting noticed, this is something that, as I said, is going to be really important for your impact, for your career, to make sure that you are seen as that person who is ready for the next stage. But how do we do this? This is what I'm going to talk through today with some key activities and areas that practically you can start applying right now to start having that incremental benefit that will lead you towards your ambitious goal. So it starts for me with leadership mindset. I think many of us wait to have the title of leader to believe that we are a leader. But here is the thing. Something that I have recognized for the people that I work with is that it gets very powerful when we start to recognize you are a leader right now. So it doesn't actually matter what your job title is. It doesn't really matter how junior or inexperienced you are right now if you're listening to this. You get to actively choose whether you are a leader right now. Because as a minimum, you are leading yourself. But most of us, for those of you who are listening to this podcast, most of you, I suspect, are leading in some way or form during your everyday activities. Even if you're not leading people yet, even if you are not leading people as a leader of a big team yet. So that is really important to recognize. We all have the ability to choose that we are leaders and that we endorse ourselves as leaders. That also raises the interesting question of, so how are you talking? What are you talking about? What is it that you do in your communication style that shows that you are a leader? How are you leaning into the right kinds of conversations and participating to show that you are the leader? This is about leading in all the contexts. So I don't want you to wait to be given the title, to be given the status. I want you to own it right now. So that is the start point, your leadership mindset. The next point is to flag what you want now. Now, at the time this episode is going out, I think it's around the time that many or some of you perhaps will be having half year reviews in the around June, July time of 2025. Now, if you have that opportunity to talk about your development plan and to talk about your growth towards your goals and what it is that you want, this is a great moment to talk about it. And it is not the only moment. So I feel this is quite important, that we shouldn't just make our conversation around our ambitions and goals a once a year or twice a year conversation that is connected to the performance review calendar. Instead, what if you talked about it more regularly with your line manager? What if they were really clear that this mattered to you and was important to you? Not as a weekly conversation perhaps, but certainly as a conversation that happens frequently, where you're talking about the actions you're doing to move you towards the goal, where you're seeking the feedback to understand what else needs change, what else do you need to show and demonstrate to be at that level. So this is an important point. The flagging of what you want isn't just about a performance review, it's about what you talk about now. The next area I want to talk about is finding yourself a mentor. Somebody within your organization, no matter how large or small it is, somebody who is at that senior level and can give you a really fresh insight into the world of leadership within your organization. It'd be fantastic if it's somebody who is not directly your head of department or head of function, but maybe somebody from a parallel stream, a parallel function, and somebody who can give you fresh insights and inspiration about what it means to be a leader for them, about their own leadership lessons and the journey that they've been on. I think this is a fantastic and valuable area, which is why I invite senior leaders as guests on my podcast as well, to help share those lessons and journeys for you to benefit from. But also, they are the kind of people who, if they get to know you, if they believe in what you bring and your talent, can really help you with sponsorship, speaking on your behalf as part of those talent conversations to endorse you as somebody who is ready for that next stage. So find the right person, pick wisely, and use that opportunity to work with that person to really widen out your thinking. Maybe it also gives you context around different options and different pathways to help you to really achieve that ambitious goal. If there isn't somebody internally available to you, then of course have a look externally as well. People who are in the industry. And if you can't find somebody who can be that mentor, sponsor, sounding board, then come and talk to me. That is a role that I do for some individuals as well. So DM me if you're interested in me being your mentor. From mentorship, a really important part of what I think is a goal. And actually, I'm just going to add to this with mentorship. Something that I do myself is that I mentor also global leaders who are at the grassroots, at the very early stages. So I mentor as well for my old university, and I mentor students who are progressing their leadership, ready for their first role. So that's why I think leadership is really important at all stages, and equally mentorship is important. But coming back to from mentorship, I want to talk about research missions. Now, research missions for me are about talking to people across your organization and externally to understand where they have gone with their own career paths, to understand what advice they might give you, to help get the insights about what might make you successful and what you might need to focus on to develop and grow yourself further. These short coffee catch ups, they may only be 20 minutes or 30 minutes maximum, are really about, again, broadening your view. And it can be really helpful, again, to pick people who are outside your usual day-to-day interactions and ways of working. I think when you ask somebody for advice, people really like to have that. So, yes, of course, some people may be too busy. Other people will make the time for that if you're asking them genuinely, not for a job, but for their advice about how they did it. How did they achieve that? So that's really great to also talk to people who are at your level +1 and +2. And to make that very tangible and practical, as I like it to be, I encourage you to set yourself a goal around this. So really consider, would you want to maybe set yourself the goal of doing one of these coffee conversations a month, so that by the end of the year that you've done 12 of these altogether? I think it can be very helpful to get specific with your goal. Otherwise, it's easy for this to fall off the list, to get deprioritized, particularly if you're in a very busy job today. So, from research missions, I now want to talk about your networking strategies. Now, networking is critical if you want to get noticed by senior leaders. And what I'm going to talk about here and now are some of the opportunities that could exist within your organization, but also what you can create. So, if you think about it, networking is again about meeting people outside the usual everyday context and then really considering how you can connect them, understand them, talk to them, get to know them. Now, if you're in a larger organization, there might be opportunities that exist already. For example, groups that meet up to talk about special interests areas like the women's group or the LGBTQI group, or groups that are focused on sustainability, for example. So, really think about what resonates for you. Is it about special interests? Is it about sport, even? Are there organisation sports teams? Again, this will depend on the scale of your organisation. But even if something doesn't exist today, I would be then inviting you and also asking you to step into your leadership mindset and think about, well, what can you create for the benefit of others? That would be a brilliant way for you to get noticed within your organization. It doesn't just stop there, though. You can also, of course, take the opportunity to think about networking externally as well. So, really consider the industry opportunities to network. What events can you attend? What conferences can you go to? Because although you want to get noticed by senior leaders within your organization potentially, those same senior leaders will also be networking externally. They will also be seen at these events. And that's a brilliant way for you to have more proximity, to get to know them as individuals outside the everyday workplace where maybe you just don't have that much exposure to them. So, this is about networking for visibility. The final area that I want to talk to you about here today is about demonstrating your thought leadership. Now, this is about understanding that you are uniquely expert in your area. Even though there'll be lots of people potentially who do the same function as you or have the same job title as you, you will have something unique about how you think about that role, what you know, your expertise, or the experiences you've had that have meant that you've learned something unique along the way. I want you to really consider how it is that you can bring that unique knowledge, your thought leadership, to others. That is a brilliant way for you to get noticed. So, to do that, of course, you need to know what that is. So, think about what your specific topics are, the ones that you are really uniquely placed to add conversations around, to be able to share knowledge and insight on. And then from there, you need to identify the opportunities about where you can talk about these topics. So that involves your speaking, your being able to communicate that. So sharing valuable knowledge will help get you noticed. And whether you choose to do that in a small scale way from within your team, say in a team meeting, sharing those knowledge and insights, all the way through to leading events and doing a full organizational event, or even stepping into more formal speaking opportunities, such as at conferences or on the stage. Depending where you are on your speaking journey, you will know where you want to start, but where also you need to grow to, depending, and that correlates really very much and closely with what your ambitious goal is. If you are determined to become the global leader of your organization at that CEO level, then you need to get on bigger stages to be seen by the right people and therefore get noticed. But work out what works for you. Work out where you're going to start and where it is you want to go to with your speaking. Now, if speaking for you is a challenging area, maybe you're comfortable with some of the stages, but the bigger ones start to perhaps create you moving out of your comfort zone, then also this is an area that I can help you with. I regularly help people who are preparing for panels, for speaking at conferences and on stages. And if that is something I can help you with, then again, just please feel free to DM me, send me a message, and we'll talk about how I can do that for you. Before we wrap up on this episode and I share your very practical activation questions, though, I want to just remind you that getting noticed is a longer term game. It is something that requires your investment of energy, relationship building, your time now to create the effect later. So even if you're not ready for that next level, whatever that looks like to you, then I want you to consider these actions today. The earlier you start, the sooner you can start to achieve and see that impact and result in the achievement of your promotion. So we're going to do the questions in a minute. As a reminder as well, there's this special resource that goes alongside this podcast episode, which is totally free to you and helps you with other key global leadership topics that I think you need to know to help you grow and focus in this area. If you'd like to get hold of that, then please feel free to head over to www.culturekappa.com/leader, and you'll be able to download that and access those short, sharp training videos so that you can progress in this area and take this learning from today's episode even further. So coming to the activation questions, I want to make this very action oriented for you. I've shared a lot here, lots of strategies, lots of ideas of actions you can take, but let's get specific. What action are you going to take today to get you noticed by your senior leaders? What do you commit to do? And if this is a goal that requires frequency, such as the research missions I mentioned, what's the frequency you can commit to? Is it once a week, once a month, once a quarter? I would love to know. I always love to hear from you, the listeners, and find out what you're putting into action. So please feel free to message me over on LinkedIn. That will also help keep you accountable because I'll find out and I'll follow up and see if you did do the action. But I invite you to do that so you've got that opportunity today. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I've really enjoyed exploring this topic, thinking about this question of how do you get noticed by your senior leaders to really enable your visibility opportunity for your career. I look forward to sharing more episodes on global leadership topics. So I look forward to seeing you next time.